What's up, everybody? Luke here, back today with Mongoose Mindset. And this isn't a podcast episode, this is just a general educational video to help you out. And I wanted to talk about what beginners should be doing to track their nutrition. Because a lot of people, when they start lifting weights or going to the gym or getting in a fitness routine, they think they have to have like the perfect plan, planned out to the T. You know, I'm gonna meal prep this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But honestly, when you're first starting, you need to get the basics down first and not worry about, how many macros you need to be eating, how many calories you need to be eating. The first things first that you need to do, especially as a beginner, if you're starting from scratch like most people would be, and you're eating a bunch of junk, you're eating McDonald's, you're eating candy, you're eating just unhealthy food that's very highly processed, hyper palatable, it tastes good, and you eat a lot of it, you need to slowly start to switch your foods to cleaner foods. And by cleaner foods, I mean like whole ingredient, only one ingredient in it. And there's this one guy on YouTube, he's more of like bodybuilder, powerlifting style. So if you're not into that, you don't have to watch him or whatever. But he explains this well. He calls them kill it, pick it, grow it foods. So any foods that you could go out and kill, pick, or grow are probably foods that you can eat, like that are clean. Like for example, meat. You'd go out there and kill an elk, or kill a moose, or kill a chicken. So you eat chicken, you kill a cow, you eat beef, kill a pig, you eat pork. So there's single ingredient foods like that. And then you got, pick it. Go out there and pick berries off a bush. Pick apples off a tree, like fruits and vegetables. Grow it, vegetables, rice, oats, anything that's grown naturally out of the earth that hasn't been mixed together with a bunch of high fructose corn syrup and all those other crappy ingredients. Because a lot of people get it wrong. They try to go from one extreme to the other. They try to flip their diet completely. They could be eating all this junk over here, and then the next day they say, oh, I want to eat all this good food, completely flipped. And I want to go to the gym 7 days a week. I want to do this, I want to do that. And those people who do that, majority of the time, there are some times that, like me, I'm really disciplined and have a lot of willpower that I can just do that. But a lot of people, since they're not used to it, or have never done something like that before, they just burn out, quit. Like they'll do it for a week or a few days, and then after that, they just quit. They don't like it. They don't enjoy it. So instead of just going out there and tracking your calories first, if you're just somebody new getting into the gym, even if you're like really, really obese, most people, when they start eating clean foods, they aren't going to be able to eat a lot. Think about it. You have a candy bar like that big that's got like 500 calories in it. You know how much calories are in like a salad or rice and chicken? You'd have a big plate like that. Most people can't eat that much food. So that's why just switching to these so-called clean foods instead of the processed foods like candy bars and McDonald's and just crap like that, you'll automatically probably lose some weight because you won't be able to eat as much, and the foods that you are eating have really, really lower calories in them usually. And then also, like I said, you don't want to just go to, you can if you could do it, but most people quit. You don't want to go eating every single meal of the day clean. You could start out with like one meal. Eat one clean meal a day for a week. Then go up to 2 meals. Then go up to 3 meals. Then go up to 4 meals. 5 meals. You want to get to where you're eating probably 4 to 5, maybe even 6 smaller meals spread throughout the day of clean food. And doing those smaller meals throughout the day too will also prevent you from being so full that you feel like you're going to throw up. And you don't have to eat the same thing in each single meal. You could, do chicken, rice, and some type of vegetable at one meal. You could do fruit and eggs, and you can do whatever as long as it's like clean food. It's going to be all right. You want to slowly change out of these habits. Is that nothing happens overnight? And think of it like an alcoholic or a smoker. Most of them, they say, "Oh, I'm going to quit cold turkey. I'm going to stop drinking alcohol completely. I'm going to stop smoking completely." Most of them, they don't last but a week because they completely restrict themselves and they crave it, and it's an addiction. And food and junk food is probably more addicting than cigarettes and alcohol because you're emotionally tied to food. It sets off dopamine hits in your brain when you eat these hyper palatable foods, and your body likes it. So just like a smoker or alcoholic, you got to wean yourself off of these junk foods, because if you just flip the script, most likely you're going to go back to craving it, and it's not going to last so long. And not only when you start eating these foods, you'll feel fuller and hopefully start losing some weight, but you'll usually feel better because these foods provide stable energy levels. They don't spike your blood glucose level or raise your blood pressure, anything like that. They make you feel good. They make you feel healthy. And that's what you want to feel in life. You don't want to, it's amazing after you switch your foods up and start eating clean, how much healthier and how much energy you have during the day, and just in your performance in the gym if you're training in the gym. And if they're spaced out evenly too, that leads to greater insulin spikes, less hunger, because when your insulin spikes real quickly and drops, you get tired real quick, your hunger spikes. That's why you want to go back and start eating more chips or eating more pretzels or sweet and salty stuff, because your body craves that when it has that big insulin spike. Now I'm going to give an example of this. I had a coworker at one of the places that I worked at back home. He ate like shit. Let's just say that. He ate horrible. And he was fat. I mean, you can say when somebody's fat or not. It's not body shaming if it's true. I'm just being honest. And it's almost like you got to say that to make them want to change, because they're not going to change if you don't tell them that. And I never told him hey, you're fat, you're this, you're that. I never made fun of him or anything. But he would always eat just junk food, just constantly getting up, eating junk food, going back to the fridge, going over to 7-Eleven, getting some worse food. And this guy was diabetic too. I asked him one time, he was going to his lunchbox, and he'd inject his insulin before he ate. And I said, "How much insulin have you used today?" Just curious. I was just curious. He said, "Oh, 50 units already." I'm like, 50 units of insulin? That's a ton of insulin. And it wasn't even 9 o'clock in the morning yet. But so one day I was eating one of my meals, and he looked over, he went like, "Man, that stuff smells good." I'm like, "Yeah, it smells good. It's sweet potato, ground beef, and broccoli. It's just clean food." So he was like, "How about you make me one of those meals? I want to try it." So I kid you not, I made him the exact meal that I was eating, which was I think it was 8 ounces of sweet potato, 4 or 5 ounces of 93% lean ground beef, and then 100 grams of broccoli, I think. So, something like that, along those lines. But I gave that meal to him that day, and he was shocked. He didn't realize that I was actually going to do it. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it. It's just one meal." So he starts to eat it. He's like, "Man, this thing's really good." And all I did was the same exact thing that I do, which is just plain Jane, plain food, except just a sprinkle of salt on the top when I go to eat it. I didn't put anything on his food, no seasoning, nothing like that. So it was just sweet potato, ground beef, and broccoli. And he got halfway through it, and he couldn't eat anymore. He said he was so full. He said, I can't eat anymore. I'm stuffed." I'm like, you can't eat a full meal of clean food, but you can eat 8 to 10 times a day of just junk and then be hungrier to go back to eat it because of all the sugar in it. And since he was diabetic too, he looked at it like his insulin levels and everything from it. He didn't even have to inject insulin because he ate it. That's how much, the sweet potato and the clean carbs and fat, the clean carbs, fats, and proteins just regulate your blood sugar a lot better than just junk food with a bunch of basically, carbs, sugars, and high fats. So that's just an example there of a normal person who wants to get in shape, who wants to lose weight, can just switch up your diet, eat cleaner foods, and then each week watch the scale. Is it going up? Is it going down? Most of the time, it's probably going to go down because, like I said, you're not consuming as much calories because you can't get the amount of calories of that higher quantity of food in your body because you're so stuffed. Unlike, a bunch of junk food. And also, you got to watch your liquid calories. I see so many people, like, they want to eat clean and everything like that, but they're still drinking soda or still drinking energy drinks. I'm like, dude, that's just liquid waste junk calories. If anything, if it makes you feel better about yourself, if it makes you clench your sweet tooth or whatever, have like one diet soda a day. If you have to have it. Or to the point now to where, like, if you had all the clean meals in the day or whatever. But most people, when you start out, like I said, you just want to start slow. Like with anything, start slow. Like when you learn a new skill, you start slow. The first day, you're not jumping right into it, doing everything about that skill. You learn slow, you build over time. And just like me, I built my nutrition habits and my exercise habits over time. Like when I started out, I was just, tracking calories. I was okay, calories in, calories out. I wasn't eating a bunch of junk. I was eating clean food, but it wasn't like structured. So if I needed like a few more carbs here, I'd just eat like a rice cake or something like that just to get through the day. But now I personally eat the same thing every single day because I figured out what works for my body, what gives my body the most energy during the day. And not just energy in general, stable energy without a bunch of energy crashes. And two, what's helped me, I guess, over time grow and what foods I like to eat the most out of all the clean foods. Because, just because you're eating clean foods doesn't mean it has to taste like shit. Cook it in a way that it tastes good. And I'm not saying put a bunch of sauces and high-calorie seasonings in it. You can season it with some non-calorie seasoning or very low-calorie season as long as it doesn't have a bunch of sugar in it. Most people say they eat a salad, but they put like ranch, all this ranch dressing on it, all this sriracha, all these croutons, and that's just adding calories. So you can put a little bit on it, but really, really, really watch your liquid calories and watch your condiments and sauces and whatever else you put on your food. So to wrap this up, as a beginner, just starting out, just eat the cleaner foods. Don't worry about the calories. Don't worry about the macros yet. Because honestly, if you start eating those cleaner foods, and if you get to a point to where you're eating all clean foods at each meal of the day that you eat, you'll see some fat loss. You'll see some weight being lost because you're not consuming as much calories because you physically can't eat that much. And if weight is not going in the direction that you want, if it's not going down, if you're not losing fat, if you're really, really skinny and you're not gaining muscle, that's when you kind of go to the intermediate phase. And I will discuss in another video. But that's basically just to give you a little hint for what it's going to be. That's when you would start tracking your macros and calories overall and getting a better routine and structure to your diet so you can break through that plateau or make those gains that you couldn't make on just switching up your diet. So I hope this video helped and it's inspiring you that it doesn't have to be, especially when you're starting, this big drawn out plan and detailed plan. You can just start, do something, and implement it from there and make the changes needed as the changes need to be needed. Like always, act now, evolve forever, and do the things that you need to do with your diet to reach your goals. Bye.